Welcome to this new episode of History Pills. Today we will talk about a truly extraordinary archaeological site, famous all over the world. We will go to the south of Turkey. In the site of Göbekli Tepe there are updates on ongoing research that completely changes everything we knew before starting. I ask you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and our newsletter to receive all our information, news and what?
Iscriverti al nostro canale YouTube e alla nostra newsletter per ricevere tutte le nostre informazioni, le news e quello che
We organize online and live here in Sardinia. Fine, let's get started. Go! Today we will talk about a truly exceptional site. Any archaeology enthusiast will surely have heard of the site of Göbekli Tepe, but what you have read so far is largely wrong.
Ma quello che avete letto fino ad oggi è in gran parte sbagliato.
Everything we know about this site is unfortunately wrong, as we will see in this video. The excavations and analyses of recent years, in fact, have changed all the hypotheses that were there until now. What I'm going to tell you today is based on the latest research conducted by Dr. Lee and his team of researchers with of the most modern technologies has finally revealed many mysteries that surround this extraordinary site. Dr. Lee's research finally gives a concrete answer to the many inconsistencies of the previous hypotheses. But let's start right away. We are in the current southeastern Turkey, in Anatolia. The site remotely resembled Stonehenge with the location of the vertical stones and in a circle. But when do the analyses begin? Immediately, a great surprise, while the English site was made from 2500 to 1800 before Christ. Göbekli Tepe results in 9600 BC, about 11,600 years ago. The site was discovered by archaeologists in the 60s, but did not follow up because they believed it was a medieval site. Then the reports of a shepherd turn on the lights on this site. You start digging, and what comes out is absolutely incredible and unthinkable. German archaeologists who dig do not believe their eyes are found huge slabs of T-shaped stone positioned in a circle. Then the stones are also carved with figures of animals, for example. We have bulls, snakes, lions, ants, scorpions, wild boars. We know that around 8000 BC, in this Asian region, men begin to cultivate and raise animals, begin to stop in one place and create the first communities. Then, with the Neolithic Revolution in the 6th millennium BC, also in Europe, men begin to organize themselves in villages.
Anche in Europa gli uomini iniziano ad organizzarsi in villaggi.
They begin to become sedentary and begins the breeding of animals that cultivate the land. Until then men were only nomads, gatherers and hunters.
Erano solamente nomadi, raccoglitori e cacciatori.
Another. Returning to Göbekli Tepe, where did the limestone blocks made for its construction come from? We know with certainty that the blocks were extracted from a quarry a short distance away, that is, about a kilometer, and from there they were transported to the site, probably with the sole force of the arms of many men. In fact, the wheel had not yet been invented. We can imagine that to build
tanti uomini, infatti non era stata ancora inventata la ruota. Possiamo immaginare che per costruire
the whole structure took a really long time, so the question is who built all this? The theories spread to date have told us that they were women and men, hunters and gatherers, who stopped for a certain period of time to work on the construction.
Uomini, cacciatori e raccoglitori che si fermavano per un certo periodo di tempo a lavorare alla costruzione.
Honestly, I can tell you that I never really believed in this hypothesis. It was difficult to accept that nomads went there to build this great work. They struggled to die and then went away and so on.
Faticavano da morire e poi andavano via e così via.
Other nomads came, built, toiled and then left.
Faticavano e poi andavano via.
We will see soon that the new team of researchers, with their great work, has revealed how things really were. They have always told us that at some point, even around 8000 BC, the site was covered with earth and abandoned.
Intorno all'8000 a.C. il sito venne ricoperto di terra e abbandonato.
Well, even in this case, we will see that things went differently. Göbekli Tepe is an extraordinary site, also a very important fact. In fact, geneticists have discovered that the origin of domestic wheat, a variant of spelt, is native to this area of Turkey, and this cannot be a coincidence. Probably not. In fact, we will see that Göbekli Tepe is probably the place where the first evolved civilization of the Neolithic began, but very.
È probabilmente il luogo dove ebbe inizio la prima civiltà evoluta del Neolitico.
Time before what we thought is history. It is to be rewritten. The construction of the site took time and effort. It was not occasional nomads who built all this, but settled people who lived in this area, who had water, cultivated the land and raised animals.
Coltivavano la terra e allevavano gli animali.
In short, an organized society that also had cults, only we are not in the 6th millennium before Christ, but even in the 10th millennium BC. Extraordinary.
Addirittura nel 10° millennio avanti Cristo. Straordinario.
Göbekli Tepe is a megalithic site that entered the UNESCO list in the 2018. This required very thorough and detailed studies that clarified up to 2014. It was the team of Klaus Schmidt to conduct excavations and studies. In his research it has always been.
A condurre scavi e studi. Nelle sue ricerche si è sempre parlato.
Talked about a site dedicated exclusively to ceremonies and rituals. Always he told us in his publications that at some point in the 8000 BC about everything is voluntarily filled with earth, and we did not even know why.
Tutto viene volontariamente riempito di terra e non si sapeva neanche il motivo.
He had drawn all these conclusions because he had found dozens of animal bones, remains of numerous meals, and even remains of fermentation that he later interpreted as beer.
Da lui poi interpretati come birra.
All this, according to Klaus Schmidt, were the risks of large banquets that took place during religious ceremonies. But after the disappearance of Klaus Schmidt, the research work is taken by Dr. Lee, who from the 2015 together with his new team of archaeologists and other disciplines. To dig, to analyze every detail, the results that come out of it, those that have come out are really incredible in these last 2 years, has changed everything we had been told until today.
Questi ultimi 2 anni ha cambiato tutto quello che ci avevano detto fino ad oggi.
The first thing that comes out of the excavations are the numerous circular structures with hearth in the center, according to the study of stratigraphy. These were implemented early in the early construction period of the site and continued to be used for centuries throughout the period of use of the site. Time passed, the site was expanded, and so it was also for these domestic structures. Dozens of them have been found.
Ne sono state ritrovate a decine di decine.
So the first great discovery is that the site of Göbekli Tepe was inhabited. Proof of this are the dozens of domestic structures with hearth and with the discovery of tools made of flint.
E con il ritrovamento anche di strumenti realizzati in selce.
Another very important and fundamental point to prove that the site was inhabited. It was the discovery of a tomb in which there were 3 individuals. A girl, a woman, and probably a man. At this point, we can already say that the site was not built by nomads who lent their time and effort to build this temple, but it is the place of a settled community that also had its rites and ceremonies. This, yes. A third extraordinary discovery leaves no doubt. Tanks dug into the rock were found to collect rainwater, which was then channeled. In artificial pipelines that carried water to the site. An exceptional discovery that practically closes the circle. Can we say that these people lived there? Around the site, they had the water necessary to live. They cultivated wheat, probably also raised animals. In all this, they certainly celebrated ceremonies, they had rituals, but the intended use of the site is now very different. It is no longer a site created exclusively for rituals, but a site that testifies to the presence of a community of people who lived in Göbekli Tepe. The discoveries from there do not end there. In fact, upon careful analysis of the filling earth layers of the site, there is no doubt that the site was not covered voluntarily, as had been said until now, but these are deposits and erosion of natural cause thanks to the action of earthquakes and landslides. In fact, the stratigraphy clearly shows that the site in different periods has been adjusted, sometimes rebuilt even on top of what had been done before. We know that this is a very seismic area, so it is likely that several earthquakes over the centuries have put a strain on all the structures up. Around 8000 BC the site was abandoned definitively. Well, we have almost come to an end. Summarizing, we can say that the site of Göbekli Tepe is famous in the world as the oldest ceremonial temple dedicated to cults. This thanks to the initial publications of Schmidt, today thanks to new studies.
Questo grazie alle iniziali pubblicazioni di Schmid. Oggi, grazie ai nuovi studi,
we can instead say that the site of Göbekli Tepe is the place where a community lived and that naturally had cults organized ceremonies resided.
E che naturalmente aveva dei culti, organizzava delle cerimonie.
So Göbekli Tepe was an inhabited village that also had a temple for worship, had water, had food, there was a village, and surely they had also started to cultivate and probably also to raise animals.
Sicuramente avevano iniziato anche a coltivare e probabilmente anche ad allevare gli animali.
Göbekli Tepe has practically rewritten the history of Neolithic man. Already around 9600 BC were able to create extraordinary structures, had cults, lived in community, and had water and food, so they cultivated.
Vivevano in comunità, avevano acqua e cibo, quindi coltivavano.
The more than 5,000 years that separate the inhabitants of Göbekli Tepe from those of the largest Sumerian civilization that we know shows us that the latter are the result of a long evolution that took place in Anatolia. Are we done? Also, this episode of Pills of History dedicated to Göbekli Tepe for the extraordinary site famous all over the world. You remember to write here to our YouTube channel and also to our newsletter to receive all the news information and what we organize. Online and in Sardinia with live events. I thank you and see you next time. Ciao. He ignores